Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and work on a mask. Been having some requests for it, so I know a lot of people are working on this. So nothing special here, but I'm gonna go ahead and record what I'm doing so that in case people think, well, hey, maybe you should have done this, you should have done that. We can, approach it that way as well. So be aware when you're designing this stuff, make sure you're using orthographic view. I use that anyways. In dentistry, we get so specific. We like to look as though we're looking at someone's smile. We need to, in this industry, engineering, we need to use things not that approach. We really need to look at things in the orthographic view, which means when these two sides are flush, you'll see that this is flush. Okay, we're not looking at a smile where the closer you get to it, the smaller the quarters get. But anyway, if you're not a dentist talking to, that's not going to really matter to you. But orthographic view, I think, is super important. So this is a blank mask that someone sent me. They took another file and basically edited out this because they're looking to create a vent down here instead. So yeah, I'm going to start with this. First of all, I want to get rid of all this, and I also don't want this flat surface in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into plane cut, and I'm going to, oops, didn't mean to click that. Let's slide this up a bit. And I don't want to get too hasty here. I mean, I want to make sure that I'm cutting the inside area as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And so now I've got this. This is where it cleared it, connected it, the two sides. And so I'm just going to hit this S or the select button. I'm going to hover over top here, double click. I'm going to delete it. So now I've opened up those. Because now I'm going to come into the Analyze Inspector tool, and I'm going to close these off. But what's important is I don't want to leave it as a flat fill. I want to leave it as a smooth fill. Yeah, so let's see what happens. And there it's created a rounded fill as opposed to a flat one. And then let's click this one and see what we get. These might not be perfect. They might, okay, it looks pretty good. Let's hit done. If we want to really view it, go to Objects Browser and then click here. Let's go ahead and just duplicate it. It wants two different things in here. So now we can see it in cross section. You look carefully, it's hard to tell, it's not great, but you can see that there's two different layers here. And so we should, basically, I'm just ensuring that it's thick because it's hard to tell. I can take a cross section. Honestly, I could, another way to do that is to edit plane cut and then just turn it 90 degrees. Of course, I had to have this in the way, my little objects browser, but now you can see how thick it is. So it's plenty thick. It's not uniform, but whatever, I just don't care right now. So now, at least now I know that it's going to have substance that can be printed. But one of the most important things here is that there's these, let's look at the select and let's highlight. Look at how small the triangles are. That just makes this a very, very, very complex object. I mean, these are tiny little triangles, and we just don't need that level of detail and precision. So I'm going to hit Control A to highlight the entire thing, and I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to Reduce, or Shift R, because I want to reduce that. And I'm going to go by percentage. I'm going to reduce it. Oh, I'm going to reduce it 95%, which is a lot. But basically, I'm going to click OK, Accept, and let's see how big these triangles are now. Much bigger. So the triangle count of this object will be much smaller. Is it perfectly smooth? No, but is anyone going to actually perceive that? No. When it's printed, that's nothing. So now it's going to have a smaller file size, which is important. I haven't messed with this yet, but I'm planning to bring it into another program, and that's where it's going to be important that we're able to. So let's go ahead and export this, and I'm going to go ahead and respiratory mask shell, and I started working on this before, but I'll just overdo that one. Okay, so yes, so that one's done, and so now I can actually, I'm done with meshmixer. That's the problem, is a lot of people actually keep trying to use meshmixer. I like meshmixer. I teach a lot of meshmixer. It's not going to be very helpful for this functionality, so at least not my opinion. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to bring in our mask. And I'm opening Fusion360. So in this software, I am going to come into insert. I'm going to come down to insert mesh, which allows us to bring in an OBJ or an STL file. And here it is. So it comes in here. Now, a couple things is, I could be wrong here. Whoever created this can correct me if I'm wrong. But if the nose is supposed to end here and the chin is supposed to end here, I'm pretty sure this needs to be tipped forward 5 or 10 degrees, because that would be the nose and the chin would be here. That looks maybe 5, but I'm going to go with 10 at the risk of having the, yeah, I guess I'll do it here just to find the middle ground. And then the filter is going to be hanging down here. So, okay, I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to right click on it again, and I'm going to move, so now that I can go straight up and down. I want to go down until I'm right at this blue axis, just going to make life easier. It's not necessary, but negative 35 there, so now it's close. Because I'm going to create basically a tube that comes down from here that will allow me to attach the filter. And so this is the filter that people want to use because these are readily available in hospitals. They're not cheap, you know, if you're buying very few of them. You're buying a ton of them, around $2 a piece. Still not cheap, but it's something that are readily available. So we need to get the measurements of these. Fortunately, I have them in my home. Sorry it's so loud in the background. I'm at home. A lot of us are at home working on this. So my wife's offering to take my son away, but guess what? I'm telling her no. This is just life right now. So he's being crazy. You're going to hear him in the background. I apologize. This is not a controlled environment. So let's get the measurements of this part right here, because this is what needs to stick out, because this part's going to be where it's sliding in, and these are meant to be kind of uniform. So this guy right here, I've got my digital caliper right here, and it says it's about 25.5 millimeters in diameter. So OD, outside diameter, is 25.4 or 20. Shoot, I'm sorry, 25.5. And the inside diameter, which is the actual important part, because the outside can be whatever you want it to be, 22.2. 22.4. That's tough. I'm gonna go 22.3. I'd rather it be a little bit small than too large. So 22, or ID goes 22.3. And all right. So now I need to create a sketch, because if you're not familiar with Fusion360, it relies on sketches. So you make a sketch, a 2-dimensional sketch, and you make that 3 dimensions. So I'll come down here, I'm going to click on this so that I can make something right underneath here. And I need to sort of center it. Now I can always adjust where it's positioned, but what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to start sketching right here in the center. And so I'm going to click here, or click the C button to make a circle. And I'm going to make it, let's see, we need 25.5 and 22.3. 25.5 and 22.3. Okay, so if we don't like where those are positioned, I can slide them forward or backward. In fact, if the chin's right here, we don't really want the air pushing against the chin. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide this. So I made a mistake here. What I need to do, well, actually I didn't. It's fine. It's fine. I forgot. Let's finish this sketch. Let's say let's move it first, because I do want to move it forward a little bit. So there we go. And I'm going to right click and say move, and I'm going to go a little bit farther forward. And that should hopefully be good. So I'm going to say okay. But one thing I'm going to finish this sketch. One thing I forgot to do is I need to turn this into a modifiable STL. Right now it's a mesh body, and it will not work for me. So I need to turn it into something else. But to do that, I have to turn off the record history, which means I'm going to lose this down here. I'll still have the sketch, but I won't be able to come to this step where I create the sketch. I think it'll be all right. I can always... I can always recreate the sketch. Corwin. All right, thanks, buddy. So I'm gonna click Do Not Capture Design History. Continue. And now I can right click on this and I can tell it to convert to BREP. Okay. And now it's going to create a mesh that I can work with. And I'm going to go back to capture design history. So I've lost those previous steps. Oh well, not a big deal. I still have the sketch here. But now anything I do, I don't worry about losing. I should have done that to begin with. I apologize that I did not, but whatever, I didn't. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this guy. Well, I'm going to click Extrude. So what I need to do is I need to create a hole through this first, and you'll see why in just a minute. I'm going to try to go, say, 30 millimeters, and the default is cut. And so it looks good. I'm going to say OK, cut it. So now, actually, I'm going to scrap that for a second. I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to extrude just the inside. 30. I'm going to see if I can get this to work or not. It might not work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I apologize, but I'm going to try this first. So now I've created the hole, and I'm going to turn the sketch back on, and I'm now going to extrude just the ring, and I'm going to say, I'm going to go. Let's first handle. Let's deal with just. We're going to do this 2 separate steps. Normally, I would go 2 directions. How far do we need this to stick out? We need it to stick out 23 millimeters, according to this right here, this length. If we're trying to replicate this in the mask, we need 23 millimeters. So I guess I'll go ahead and do it both. I'm going to say the extrude, I'm going to go to 2 sides. The bottom side, I want it to go 23 millimeters. But the top side, I want to go as long as I need to go to get it through. Okay, so I'm going to try to delete this part after the fact. Now I might struggle with that, and if I do, that's okay. I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, so now I can hide the sketch. Now let's see if I can delete this. This might be a problem. And we'll see if it gives us a warning. It did. It errored out. So that's okay. I have an idea for how to fix this. So let's come back for a second. Let's rewind the clock. And let's edit feature. And let's include the outer body. Now let's cut the entire thing. So we've created a much bigger hole with a nice new ring all the way around here. Now let's go forward. Now it's done this. Now let's try deleting this. It does not want me to. So that's frustrating. Gotta figure that out because it does not make sense. Here, click there. So it's just.
Who knows if FaceTiming and her teacher will want
it. Okay, so that didn't work.
Everything's best, but I'm too tired to care. What?
Well, I'm gonna keep recording. I'll fast forward if I have to, but I'm gonna try to figure out how to get this fixed. Let's try this. Let's just do the inside. Okay. And now let's do this. And let's edit this feature, and let's just say the extent to an object. Duh, it worked. That's the thing about Fusion, is there's so many different ways to do the same thing. And you just got to find the right option. So I just showed you a bunch of ways to do things, and most of them didn't work, but this one did. So, all right. You know what? Honestly, we've got a couple extra millimeters right in here, so I'm going to decrease the bottom side of this by 2 millimeters, because I don't want this to be any longer than it absolutely has to be. And technically, I'm remeasuring. It needs to be 21 millimeters on the internal aspect. And again, we've got 2 millimeters, so edit. Okay, so now we've got that. So, all right, so now we've got a mask that has a hole, has a tube for a filter. That's pretty simple. So now let's attach, I'm gonna keep going with this, and I'm gonna see what else I can do. We need to attach some attachment points for this. I have some ideas of how we can attach to lock this to a person's face, but I'm not gonna get into that quite yet because I need to test it before I bother with it with everyone else. Okay, so I'm picking back up because I made some mistakes and not what I've shown so far, but I'm deleting what I was doing because I made a mistake, and I'm learning here as well. This is not exactly a process I've done before. I don't have time to rehearse everything and then go back and make a teaching video, so I'm trying to kind of edit out when I screw things up and give you guys something to learn from, and hopefully all of us learn together. Okay, so what I need to do now is I've got the vent hole, but I need to attach some straps, some mounting points for straps. I'm going to be pretty generic on how I make these, but what I need to do is first I need to make an outline of this. And so kind of a cool feature here is if we turn on the mesh button, let's turn this off for a second. So we're gonna use this now, and I'm gonna come up here to create, and I'm gonna come down to create mesh section sketch. So we need to tell it which body, and there it is. But I want it to be this direction, so I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And I'm going to slide it on in here. And I think that's about where I want the straps to line up. I'm going to have one here, I'm going to have one there. And having them on the same area makes sense, I guess. So let's go ahead and say okay. So now we can, sorry, I'm having a thought. Bear with me. Yeah, I think that'll actually be kind of cool. So, all right. So now we've got this extra sketch. Now I can turn this off and look at the sketch I've got. So now I can make a new sketch. I can come in. Let me see if I can edit this. Edit sketch. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some strap components here. I'm going to be pretty rudimentary on how I make these. I'll leave other people to play with it a little more. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to, first I'm going to create a strap. Okay, what do I want this strap to look like? Let me see. I'm just going to eyeballing down here with my own caliper in my hands. I want the strap point to be, we'll say 16 millimeters. With a 10 millimeter hole. Hopefully that's enough for a piece of elastic of some sort. So we'll say 16 millimeters, and if it's 16 millimeters wide, I figure I want it to be 10 millimeters. So we'll say 10 by 16, which I've already got. Okay, so all right, and what I want to do here is I need to make a hole in this, which is going to be 3 by 3. Oop. 3 by 3. What I mean is the periphery. It's going to make it all 3 by 3 thickness, and then I'm also going to create a line here, and I'll show you what that's for in just a minute. So I'm going to say, all right, hit the escape button so I can now mess with this. I don't like dimensions and constraints all visible, so I'm going to turn them off. I think they just convolute things. Hey, I've had a mask on this for a while. I apologize if that's been hard to hear, but okay. So now I've got this, and so I'm going to highlight it, and I'm gonna right-click. I'm gonna move it. Move it way out here just so that it's. Actually, I'm gonna move right in the middle, just so I can kind of get at it, because I'm gonna make forward. I'm gonna replicate this a couple times, and so let's just move it for now. I should have just drawn it there to begin with, I guess is my point. So now I'm gonna highlight it again, right click, move and copy, I'm gonna create a copy, and I'm gonna bring it up here. I'm going to rotate it. And we'll say, let's go 2 millimeters with it. That looks plenty. You know what, let's back it down to 1 millimeter so it's well invested. In fact, yeah, let's just do this. I don't care if it's a flat area in here, that's fine. Click OK, and now let's take this. No, let's do this. Let's copy. So I don't know why sometimes the menu's long, sometimes it's not. I honestly do not know what the deal is with that. And rotate this. Let's go 2 millimeters. Okay. So I've got 2 different straps there. Let's highlight both of them. Oh, we do not have a midline, do we? So let's just make one up. It doesn't actually matter how long you make it. I can make it all the way down to the bottom, but it's not relevant for what I'm about to do. I'm going to click here. I'm going to create a mirror image, and I'm going to click. It's got those things all selected. Here's the mirror line, which is this guy, and there we go. So they've got them on their side as well. That just saved me from having to replicate it, and it makes it quite symmetric. All right, so that sketch is complete, I do believe. And say finish sketch. So let's turn our body back on, and here's our strap pieces. And I'm not gonna lie, it would be nice to have them. Well, let's have. I'm playing around here, honestly. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna make this work, but let's go ahead and extrude these. Oops. Okay, and let's make them a good, I don't know, 3 millimeters thick. That's how long this bar is. And the taper, let's see, can we? So how can I? I'm curious what happens when I taper it. I'm just gonna see. Yeah, I don't want that kind of taper. So basically I want this whole thing tipped up to follow the contour, and it's probably going to be easiest to do that by editing the sketch, which I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but I'm going to come in here, I'm going to edit the sketch. And let's do that. Let's try to look right down the line here. And right click, move, copy, and let's I'm changing the pivot because I want it to be perpendicular to this whole object instead of the long axis of the environment. And I'm just trying to make it somewhat perpendicular here. Okay, good. What was that? I think it was 20 degrees. I should have looked at that. That was silly of me not to, but I didn't. So, okay, and then there's this. Let's move and copy. Let's change. Set the pivot point as one of these points. Okay. There's 20. Okay. Let's edit. Change. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't know if I deselected something, so I'm just going to start over. And let's change the pivot point again. Say we're done there. Now let's rotate it 20 degrees. Is that enough for these? This front one's, let's go 25 degrees instead. And move and copy. Set the pivot point. That's not what I want. Well, that's annoying. That's because it's, I'm not sure why that happened. I want to be consistent because if I rotate it from here, it's going to be rotating. It's just going to be different. I don't want to do that. Oop. Gotta hit the check mark. I think I want to go to 25 degrees. Okay. Okay. So click Finish Sketch. Now the problem is I believe it's going to force me to my extrude. Oh, it is going to go in the right direction. Okay, good. I was worried it would go vertical and then I'd have to do some more work, but it's not going to do that. And so I think I can hide the body here. I can't, these are all different planes, so I gotta do this one at a time. That's fine. And let's go 4 millimeters. Make sure it's on join. Okay. And then the reason I made that separate line here is I'm going to select just this area down here. And let's extrude that 8 millimeters. So yeah, 8 millimeters. Make sure it's a join, not a cut. Okay. So unfortunately, I have to do that separately each way. There might be a better way to do that, but I just don't know. So we can augment that however we want, but I'm making it so it's got a little bit more strength to it. And so let's go ahead, and it might be easier to do it here. Do this 8, join, okay, this 4, doing the same thing, just kind of a different order, but 8, join, because they're overlapping, the software automatically assumes you want to cut that. But when they're not overlapping, then it assumes it's going to be something you want to join it with. So there we go. I've got two mask points or strap points, and I mean, if you wanted to rotate these even more so that they would be going up the face, you can do that. I think that's a little bit overkill, but so now we've got kind of everything we need. I'm gonna keep going in this video because I'm gonna look at separating, segmenting this into two different pieces so that we could print one in a flexible material, one in the more rigid. So, initially, so you can stop here if this is all you need, but if you want to see how to segment it, I'm going to do that now. So one of the things is, let's turn off the sketch, is that my plan or my thinking was I could use that same sketch right here, or the borders, as my way of cutting it, and I think that would be pretty cool, but I'm going to stay away from that. So instead I am going to create another sketch. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Let's turn this back on. Let's do it here. And so now I'm just, I could measure, but I'm gonna just eyeball and have it just below the previous one. Okay. Okay. And so now this is a whole new sketch. I can turn off the the previous sketch. And so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to figure out an idea. How can I create something that will marry these two components together? I have an idea, but I'm going to turn off this body, and I really want to create. That's not. I don't need that, but I do want to edit this sketch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go perpendicular to this. Let me try it again. Okay. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to try anyways. Let's finish this. Let's now construct, cancel, insert to plane, an angle here, 90 degrees. Okay, so all right, so that's the body. And my thinking is that I'm going to, I don't know if this is going to work. I keep saying that. I'm going to be super simple in this. I don't know if this is going to be the best way to do this, but I'm going to try. I doubt this is going to work. Sweep this path. Okay, so that didn't work. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to come back into this sketch, and I'm going to basically just I'm just trying to bisect this all the way down. This is not, I like to do things very automated. I'm going to turn off the snap to grid because in this case I just don't want that. Usually I do. So anyway, normally I like things to be very automated and just, you know, click a button, let the software figure it out. I just don't know that there's a good way to do that for this. So if there is, cool, someone can please be happy to let me know. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and try to draw a path within the middle of this because I know this will work. All right. This is also, if you see a picture of something and you want to kind of design it, you can use this to basically bring a picture into the software, which is not as easy as it sounds, but you can, and then you can basically trace it, the pixels of the image in this way. You can also take a, yeah, whatever. You can also take an image and turn it into a vector file. I believe it's SVJ, which will almost like take a black and white image and turn it into texture, if that makes sense. Okay, so now we've got this path. Click Finish Sketch. And so now, let's edit this sketch. I'm going to come in here because I made it probably too small. Because a lot of the path gets wider than this. So instead, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to click here. I'm not being very exacting in this, but that's okay. Okay, so now I've created a sketch here, and you're going to see why I made that in just a minute. First, let's take a look at this we've got, and let's slice the body. Pick the slicing tool, which is going to be right along this line. Yeah, buddy.
What channel did we watch Clue on? Because I'm thinking of watching Clue.
Not sure, buddy. Okay, so I've got two different bodies. Let's hide them and just to see what we've got here. Yeah, it doesn't look like it worked the way I wanted it to, which is frustrating. So I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah, it went vertical. Duh, that's not what I wanted. Edit feature. Why did it go vertical? Oh, because it followed that. Okay, cancel this. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go back. We need to rewind a step. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this. And I'm going to construct a plane. I guess an angle is fine. Let's turn off this body. And let's see, can we make one? That's not going to work, so let's go. Oh, how else can we construct one? Construct. Oh, I just clicked on the whole object. Duh. Okay, so now we've got a plane there. And so that ends up under the constructions. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the split instead. I'm going to fast forward, but I'm going to edit feature. And I should have saved my work by now. Really silly of me not to save my work by now. So I'm not going to click any buttons because there's a chance that oh, I had a feeling. This is actually my first crash I've ever had in this software, which is awesome. But let's go ahead and we'll scrap it. So let's go ahead and open it up. It should have collected some of the data and saved it, I hope. Wow. Yeah, don't forget to save your work. Let's see. I'll pause for now just in case it takes a while. Okay, so I wish I could read this. Yeah, that was 4 minutes ago. Let's open this. So, oh, okay. I don't know what this is, but let's go ahead and open it too. Oh, that's nothing. That was another little project I was tinkering around with. This is nothing. So let's go ahead and save this for real. I don't even know where we're at, but I see a split line. So, okay, I'm going to make a new project, respiratory, new folder. No, respiratory. I hate how it does that. You make the folder, then click on it. Mask and mask. Design 1. I'm just going to call it that because in case I decide to start all over with a whole different one, then I'll know. Okay, so let's see where did we get to? In a sketch. Good, I've got that. I don't think I have. So I never did create that plane, which is fine. I can totally recreate that because that's really not a big deal. So let's go ahead and construct the plane. And I'm going to turn on that one sketch. Click OK. It's a plane at an offset. We just, which one is it? It's offset plane, but the offset's 0. Okay, I couldn't remember which the default button was. So now, when I come forward, I'm just going to delete this. Yeah, because it didn't like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and not even bother messing with that. So now let's turn the body back on, and let's say we're going to split this. And the splitting tool is going to be this plane. And OK. So we now have an upper and a lower. Okay. So let's let me see. Let's turn off this constructed plane. Let's hide the sketch for now. And let's first of all, let's make sure that we've got yeah, okay. So this is going to be our hard shell, and this is going to be our soft shell. But how do we attach the two to make sure they stay together? Well, that's where we have that other sketch that comes into play. And let's see if I had edited that already, which it looks like I may have. Let's just go and click on it, and let's check it out. Edit sketch. Turn off the body. Zoom in here. Yeah. It's out to here, which means that's the same thing. So now we're going to see if this actually works or not. I'm not sure if it will, but we'll see. So turn bodies back on. We're still in the editing sketch. So now we have both bodies. And so for this one, I am going to click on sweep. And the profile is what we want to create, which is this path. We need to turn on that sketch, and I'm going to click on this line, and let's see what it does. It did. So you can't really see it right now, but you can kind of tell it created that spike. So I'm going to say OK. This little guy right here is a part of that one. It's two of them. The strap peak component, whatever. That's fine. Probably remove that afterwards after I design it, or before I print it. But okay, so we've created the bottom, so it has this positive component, and now we need to make the top have the same thing, but an indent. So now I'm going to turn that sketch back on. Here it is. And I'm going to, I'll turn this off for now. I'm going to say sweep. Here's the component. Here's the path. Oop. And I want this on. And it automatically went to cut. I could have changed it if I needed to. And I'm going to click OK. Hopefully you can hear me talking. I apologize because I'm not using a headset. So I really do apologize. I've been too quiet. I'm kind of in my own head as I'm doing this. So let's look. We've got this indent built into here. Is that printable? Is it going to work that way? You know, honestly, this video is more about how to create it than it is to actually create this. So we'll see. I don't mind trying this out. I might scale it down just so I can print it faster. But now the idea is you can print one component in a softer material. By the way, I got that idea from Wally Renne. He's working with Christian Brenes, and they shared something similar. I don't know, but I feel like they must have used meshmixer just the way they're describing it, but I could be wrong. They could be using Fusion. They could be using something even more sophisticated. I don't know. But hopefully you can see why I chose to use Fusion. So now I've got a 2-component mask. One that's going to be soft, a little bit, and then what they used, and I think it's awesome. I had similar ideas, but they took it to fruition, so I'll give them credit for it. Using TPU, which is a softer material, and then using something like PLA or PETG is what I would probably use for temperature stability is on this top part. So now you have flexibility and rigidity. Yeah, and so now you plug in a filter and you're good to go. All right, I'm gonna leave it here. I actually have an idea of a different way to put straps on, but I'm gonna play with that around a little bit before I share that, only because it's just like Wally is doing. He's not sharing too much until he actually gets a chance to try it, because he doesn't want to waste people's time or give people false hope. So I'm gonna play around and we'll see from there. All right, hope this video was helpful. I'll try to edit out some of the junk, but not all of it. I don't have time to mess with it completely, but hopefully you guys learned some stuff. All right, bye for now.